Greetings, my dear friends. This is Himanshu Shukla from Jump Academy. And in today's video, we'll discuss about the public finance sector, where the objective of the banking is to focus on the management of any country's national budget, treasury department, the central bank, and other government-related agencies. This section will help us simulate how exactly the public finance sector operates in general. We also call it government-related banking, and it has a major stake in financial domain. Let's begin now. So the primary component of financial banking includes the tax collection, the national debt, expenditure on several services and programs, deficits, surplus, national budgets, all those things. The public finance also targets the national benefits such as the healthcare, education, national highways, hospitals, governance, and social security. The commonly known items under this category, basically they include it is the income tax, right? Sorry about that. It is the income tax, okay? And it is a kind of direct tax which is imposed upon the citizen on their income, right? The income includes any earning from salary or the house property, right? So, salary or maybe a house property, right? So, if there is any income from these things, then actually it is coming to the income tax. Okay, the profits from the business also, right? And additional gains from any kind of profession, right? Gain from some kind of capital you have, right? And as per the budget passed in 2019, the taxpayer with the income lower than 5 lakh rupees, this is the cap right now. 5 lakh rupees, if you have the lesser income than that, then you do not have to pay any kind of income tax as of now, right? And now let's go ahead and talk about the sales tax. Right? And it is basically the amount paid to the government for the sales of any kind of goods and services, right? So it is goods and services. If there is a sale happening for the same, you have to pay the sales tax. Okay. Well, with the expectation of the tax reformation, the goods and sales taxes, which is commonly also known as the GST now, right? It was basically suggested long back 2000 year, right? And after lots of drilling for about 2 decades, right, about 17 years or something, the GST was first implemented in India on 1st July 2017. Right, 2017 was the year of incorporation for the GST in India, right? And the objective of having a GST was to impose the single nationwide uniform tax structure, right, on all kind of goods and services, right? And currently the tax rate is set to about 18% in some kind of specific sales. So it is something like 18% of tax you have to pay if there is any sale of goods and services inside the India, right? So 18% you have to pay anyhow, right? So this is all about the sales taxes. Okay. Now let's go ahead and talk about the property tax, right? And this property tax is basically a fee which is paid by the owner of any real estate to the government, right? Any kind of tax, like we have a real estate, usually we call it property in India, right? Real estate, and if you are having a possession of it, then actually you will have to pay some kind of amount to the government, which is called the property tax, right? And this government can be the local government governing bodies or maybe the municipal corporation of the state, right? So these can collect the taxes, and be it residential or commercial, or any kind of property, right? The tax is collected by the government, right? In general, the property in India, the house tax basically it ranges from 5% to 10%, and for it is something like 5% to 10%, which is the property tax in India. And for paid housing tax, one can also avail the income tax reductions under the section 80C, right? So this is basically for those who are salaried. You can get a deduction from the 80C in the 80C section, right? And we usually pay the house tax to the local municipal body, as they provide some kind of necessary services, which basically includes some kind of water supply, the drainage system, cleaning services, the maintenance of roads, and many more. These facilities actually the governing authority actually they are providing the services to us, and that is why we pay this kind of house tax, the property tax over there, right? And now let's go and talk about the next topic, which is called inflation, right? Inflation is basically it is actually related to the cost of living of any citizen in the country, right? It is a major, which is regular increase in the usual price of commonly used goods and services. And few commonly known reason for increasing the inflation rate can be increase in production costs, right? If you have some production going on, right? So, and the cost is increased, right? So inflation also goes up, right? And you have the costly raw material or the labor, right? You have the raw material, the price is high. You have a labor, right? The price is high, right? Then actually it goes up, the inflation goes up, and higher demand of any specific goods and services. This also is making the inflation going high, right? So example, like right now, onion, right? It is highly in demand, right? And that is why it is also impacting the inflation, right? So these kind of many other goods and services, if they are in high demand, right? So the inflation goes up. And very common example of this is like having the higher rate of fuel right now, right? If fuel rate is higher, then it will certainly impact the cost of any other related product and services, right? So some good is coming from some other state, right? It has to use the fuel, right? When the cost is higher, it is certainly going to impact the cost of some other related services. So inflation goes high, right? Now let's go and talk about the next category, which is called infrastructure spendings, right? Infrastructure spendings. Okay, and here infrastructure spending basically it helps the governance providing on scaling certain operations and improving the overall productivity, right? And it mostly includes the highway, roads, hospitals, school, colleges, and universities, airport also, right? And other transportation medium, the telecommunication and medium, the energy and power generation, right? It also includes like having water, electricity, and the gas, right? Waste management, the information related infrastructure. These kind of infrastructure, when they are built for the nation, right, then it is called as a spending on the infrastructure, right? Now let's go and talk about the next category, which is called as social security and insurance, right? And in this actually it includes the insurance for any specific individuals retirement, right? Retirement. Okay, it also includes a disability. Okay, it also includes some other factors like medical expenses. Okay, and these factors are basically considered into the social security and insurance kind of public financing. Okay, now let's go and talk about the next category, which is called the supply of money. Okay, supply of money. And supply of money is something like currency which is issued by the government, which in turn enables the customer to increase the business activities, right, and raise the production and do the spending as and when required, right? Significantly, it is going to affect the country's economy and its profile and the inflation, right? So the supply of money, it is all very important for any kind of public financing and government, right? Next category is called the international trade, right? International trade is kind of exchange of goods and services, right, across any country's boundary, right? And trade can include, like, there are basically three important category, which is called import and then export, and then the next part is export. Okay, and in export it is also it is also known as re-export. Okay, so these three are the important categories while we talk about the international trade, right? And the international trade gives the opportunity to improve in many aspects, right? In a way that innovation, we have things going around the boundaries, right? So innovation improves. It improves the productivity also. It gives them a lot of more opportunities, the higher income, and the risk is also diversified using this international trade. It also adds the possibility of business expansion in an unexplored market, right? In some country, right? There can be some of the factor which is not very much explored, and having the international trade together with some other country which is having the capability, it gives the possibility of having the expansion in that unexplored market, right? Now let's go ahead and talk about the next category, which is called as employment, right? Employment, and it is a state of having paid work, right? You have a work which is paid by default, right? Which is called the employment. Now next category, it is called as gross national product, GNP, right? Gross national product, and it is the overall market value of goods and services produced by any country's citizen, right? It's a very important point to understand that during a specific period of time it is considered, and as compared to GNP, the GDP is also one of the term which can include the market and value and produce goods and services by non-citizen also, right? The difference between the GNP and GDP is this only, that in GNP it is specifically mentioned for the citizen only, any goods and services produced by the citizen only, right? But in GDP, it can also include the goods and services produced by non-citizen, right? Okay. And the next topic is about the national debt, right? And what national debt is, it is a kind of deficit amount to any government's annual budget, right? So this is the national budget. As per 2020 year, the Indian national debt is around 2.41 trillion US dollars. So this is the national debt of India, right? And right now, if I talk about most developing or developed countries, right? Even United States is also having the national debt. Okay, and talking about the topmost country which is having the biggest national debt is surprisingly it is United States. Okay. Next topic is national budget. Okay? National budget is government's economic statement that incorporates the forthcoming year's revenue and the expenses. Right. So national budget is also very important and significant for any country's economy. Okay, and we just discussed about the public finance sector of finance domain, right? It concludes all the parts here, and watch this space for more understanding about the major players in the finance domain. And this will also help you in relating about the segmentation of several services provided in finance domain, right? A special tip for today: do before you go to sleep, right? No matter what, complete whatever you planned for the day, right? I'm sure you know tomorrow never comes, okay? And you may not get another chance the way you have today. You may get a chance, but it can be different, right? If you found this video useful, you should definitely check us our further videos. You may also like to subscribe for more content which can help you stand out from others. focus of Gems Academy is to connect potential talent with real life evolution of evolving and next generation technologies. Happy learning and stay focused.